I'm Monica, and I live in a place which is full of really interesting spaces to explore. And my work is very much around getting out there and seeing what else is going on and making connections with people and with the land. Maybe about 15 years ago, I was trying to get away from the domestic space, finding it hard to work. And I managed to get a place to work as a temporary studio in a Bordamona work site. So this place opened up another world for me. One of the conversations that I will always remember, because it was with a number of the men out there in the canteen, where they talked about all the processes involved. Taking the skin off, ridging, milling, harrowing, piling, lifting. So many of these processes reminded me a little bit of my own work, finding a space that I was really curious about and drawing to find out more, then painting to reimagine places. So a lot of this approach has stayed with me as I work with schools and young people and as I work in different community settings. For a number of years now, Creative Rathangan Mehel has been running workshops and events in the Rathangan area. Let me introduce you to Michael now.
Now, this idea here is to have a look at the water creatures. We're on the bank of the River Slate here in Rathangan. Lovely, lovely river. As you can see today, it's somewhat fast flowing. And the quality of the water, as we'll see in a few moments, is quite good. I have set out here a number of little trays and there's water in it, and in a few moments we will use the sweep net to catch little creatures and have a closer look at them.
So here we have the boys from the local boys' school and the local girls from the girls' school just coming up as well, all eager little fishermen and fisherwomen. And often in the local water there will be some minnow. Then in the ground there's a lot of bug hunting to happen. And then drawing to make sense of things. Gathering up all the bugs that we've found and bringing them off to the local library, where they will be scrutinised further by Michael and his team. Then creating an art space for drawing, painting and 3D assemblage in the library. Then it is out to Ballydermot Works for a family walk and drawing session on Cringan and Og. And here we meet Michael again and an ecologist who knows everything there is to be known about sphagnum moss and stories about how they act as a carbon sink. Then heading down the railway track to see what else is down there. And it's not long before the pile becomes a whale on the bog. Then the ecologist tells a story about their bog remnant, which is just up a little bit from the whale on the bog. Glowing on Clonrusk is Pulchrum, one of the special bog builders. This residency was very much about well-being, and the little children here from junior and senior infants, some of them were just settling in to hearing a lot of Irish. So we played many games and I worked very closely with the teachers in planning what was appropriate for the children. And one of the things we did was make little assemblages and then little puppets so that they could actually talk through their puppet. And the strange thing was that their puppet spoke Irish. The other classes were all interested in exploring either imaginary creatures or creatures that they were just really fond of, like bats and hares. They all gave serious thought to what recyclable materials they would use for their special creatures' habitats. A very different space that opened up to me recently was the space of the Direct Provision Centre in Ireland. And this was because the Baltona Commission this year awarded it to a small group of us to see if being involved in creative projects can support the well-being of some of the families. So in my case, I was in the Eglinton Direct Provision Centre in Salthill, and there I met with many families, mostly from the African continent originally, but really wanting to be safe and to live a good life in Ireland. The first thing we did really was try to speak with people who had been in direct provision but who were now out and active and doing things in Ireland. So one of the things that they really stressed with us was to try and do no harm and to have a good exit strategy. So one of the things we looked at was the notion of where is the best place to work? Is it within the direct provision centre? Is it outside in either a garden space or further afield? So it did seem that the majority of people we spoke with in any case seemed to think that it was best to try, if possible, to bring them out of that, because sometimes people, especially those who are newly arrived, are just really concerned about going out when they don't know the place, and because they often sadly have been met with horrible racist stuff. Míle buíochas to all involved.